They found it buried beneath the old oak well. Imagine standing in your backyard on a calm afternoon, the sun shining, the birds singing, but then the ground beneath your feet shifts. A tremor. It's small at first, barely noticeable, but as you kneel down and touch the earth, a chill runs up your spine. You dig, your hands trembling, and then you hit something hard, cold, ancient. Beneath that old oak tree, something had been hidden for years, for generations. The oak was always there, growing tall and strong, watching over the land. People had lived near it, worked around it, built their homes and lives, but always there was something wrong about it. The tree had a strange air about it. People whispered stories, old stories, that they would tell in hushed tones, eyes wide with fear. They said the oak had seen things no one should ever see. Some said the oak was cursed. Others said it was just a symbol of bad luck, that anyone who stayed too close to it would face misfortune. Strange things happened around that tree. Fires that wouldn't burn, shadows that moved when there was no wind. But no one ever really dared to ask too many questions. Then, one day, something changed. The ground shifted. It was as though the earth itself had decided it was time to give up its secrets. The tremor had been small, but it was enough. Enough to make someone curious. Enough to dig. At first, the dirt came loose easily, but then, something stopped the shovel. It was a heavy, solid object, buried deep. Panic and excitement mixed in the air. Whatever was buried under that oak, it was big, old, and had been hidden for a reason. As the soil was slowly peeled back, the shape of the object became clearer. It was a chest. Rusted metal, covered in dirt and grime, almost as though it had been there forever. It didn't make sense. The land had been used for years. Why hadn't anyone found it before? The chest was strange. It didn't look like it belonged to any old family or treasure hunter. No, this chest, it felt wrong. It was darker than the shadows under the tree. It felt like it was alive, like it had a heartbeat. And then, as the last bits of dirt were pushed away, the lid creaked open, sending a wave of cold air rushing out. The smell was unbearable. Something old, something rotting. And yet, there was something sweet in the air too. Something that made the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. Inside the chest was a bundle of old decaying cloth. Slowly, with shaking hands, the cloth was unfolded. What was revealed inside wasn't gold, wasn't treasure. It was a book. A book that seemed to pulse with an unnatural energy. Its pages were covered in strange, twisting symbols that no one could read. The book seemed to breathe, as if alive. The air grew thick. The trees groaned, the wind howled, and the world around the oak seemed to disappear. No one could understand what they had found. It wasn't just a book, it was a curse. The book's pages were filled with warnings, ancient words that when spoken aloud caused the world around them to crack and scream. The sky turned black. The wind screamed louder than ever before. And beneath the earth, something stirred. They should have left it there. They should have walked away and never looked back. But curiosity is a dangerous thing. The person who had unearthed the chest, who had opened the book, began to read its words. The air grew colder, the shadows darker, as the words filled the space. Each word seemed to drain the light from the world, making everything feel wrong. Then came the screams. Terrifying, horrible screams that echoed from deep within the oak's roots. Screams that felt like they came from the very earth itself, twisted and raw, filled with anger and regret. The ground cracked, and beneath the surface, something dark began to rise. The tree groaned, its gnarled branches swaying as though trying to fight off the force that had been unleashed. The oak, once a silent sentinel, now seemed to be alive, its roots digging deeper, pulling at the earth, as though trying to tear itself free from whatever had been buried there. And then, the truth came to light. The book had been a warning, a trap. The oak wasn't just a tree. It had been built upon an ancient burial ground, the place where a terrible, forgotten ritual had taken place long before anyone had come. The ritual had bound a terrible entity to the land, an entity that had been sealed away by those who knew too much of its power. And now, the seal was broken. It wasn't just the earth that had been disturbed. The very fabric of reality itself seemed to crack. The sky turned red, the wind howled, and in the distance, you could hear it. Footsteps. Heavy, slow, deliberate footsteps. Whatever had been buried beneath that oak wasn't just ancient. It was alive, and it wanted out. The world held its breath. Time seemed to freeze. The shadows grew longer, reaching for the terrified souls who had dared to uncover the truth. No one knew what would happen next. The oak had always been there, watching, waiting, and now it was hungry for more. The last thing anyone could hear was the deep, terrible rumble from the ground beneath the oak, the sound of something ancient and powerful awakening. And then, silence. The earth swallowed everything whole.
no one ever spoke of the oak again. But if you listen carefully, on the darkest of nights, you can still hear the faint whispers of what was buried beneath the old oak tree. They found it, but they should have never dug, because some secrets are better left untouched.